Happy Tuesday, guys. We got today's outside the box 3-round workout, starting every round at the top with 100 double unders or 100 single skips. With this, guys, we're trying to get our heart rate up before we get into single arm deadlifts and those strict handstand push-ups. So reps of 15 and 15 for the single arm deadlifts in that first little set, 5 strict handstand push-ups, then 10 and 10. 5 strict handstand push-ups, 5 and 5 single arm deadlifts, then 5 strict handstand push-ups to finish off. So with this type of workout here, guys, we're going a little bit slower and then speeding up gradually as we get to the end of that round. Once we finish that round, we're gonna rest 1-to-1. So let's say this takes about 5 minutes approximately to finish. I'm gonna rest 5 minutes before I hit the next round. With each set, so since it's 3 rounds, we want to start to gradually push our pace, get a little bit faster each time. Different ways to approach it though. You guys can approach it in multiple different ways, which would be the first one, as I mentioned, being 1 round, you find one pace and then you try to beat that round consecutively after the next. Another way of doing it is trying to go as fast as possible at every round. Or also trying to be as consistent as possible with every round too. So you can go just 5 minutes, try to hit that 5-minute mark every single time without deviating away from it. Make sure you do the rest as well though. The point of this, guys, you want to go hard for that round and then be able to rest and recover, work on that capacity of us hitting that round with the same intensity each and every time. So again, double unders, guys, feel free to scale this with single unders, single arm deadlifts, find that soup can, find that paint can, going for those, any object that you have at home, you guys can do those single arm deadlifts with, strict handstand push-ups. Again, if you don't have them, that's okay. We got plenty of options that we'll show you later on in the videos. After the WOD, we got a stretch here, 2-minute lower back stretch. So for those deadlifts there, be a good little stretch there. And then for the pancake stretch, we're trying to feel it more in that groin area. It'll also be a good stretch, especially when you're reaching down to go for those single arm deadlifts. You're gonna start to use those adductors a lot. So this will be a great stretch for you, and we'll get you ready for tomorrow's workout. We'll see you guys next for the warm-up video. I hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, guys, we're here for the warm-up. We're going to start off with 60 body weight Russian twists. So you don't have to do them all unbroken. Break it up, sets of 20, sets of 30. You don't need to use any weight for this. Try and focus on really on that rotation when you're going to one side. So don't just try to reach with your arms or your hands. Try to reach with that upper body towards the direction that you're going. So you can challenge yourself by going legs straight here, or if you're new to it, keep your knees bent. But again, we're going to try and reach as much as we can to that one side, going for 60 reps. Every time you touch that side, that's going to count as 1 rep. So break it up if you need to, 60 reps to start off with. Then we're going to go into some single-legged deadlifts. You're going to go 15 reps per side. Use a weight here, unless you're still trying to work on that balance with that single leg. You're going to grab that weight, the leg that's balancing on the floor, that's not going to be using the weight. So my right side is going to hold on to the weight, my left side is going to be doing the balancing. I'm going to hinge at the hips, send that leg straight back, and I'm going to come down as low as I can, as long as I'm keeping that back nice and flat. And I'm going to drive through that front leg to stand up. And as I'm doing that, I'm pushing my heel, pushing my full foot into the ground to really use my hamstring as I stand it up. So what it looks like again from the side, down, come up, drive hard through that leg to activate that hamstring. Once you're done that, guys, we're gonna go into some static lunges, but from a narrow stance. So I like to do these to kind of get the quads and the adductors activated. So pick a line on the floor. If you don't have a line, that's okay. See if you can keep your toes or your heels all in one straight line. You're gonna drop that knee down so that it's about a fist away from that heel, so there's some gap in between. It's gonna be a little bit of a balance act here. You're gonna try and drive that leg up and then back down again. We're gonna go for 15 left leg forward, really trying to keep that balance by squeezing the inside of this leg and keeping that hip active on the back. Then we're going to do the same thing on that opposite leg, opposite stance, same idea, 15 static lunges from there. Once you're done that, you're going to grab a weight, you're going to go into restrict presses from an active lunge position. So we're going to keep that knee just slightly above the ground. We're going to take a lunge forward, get into that front rack position, 15 reps on that one side. Once you're done 15 reps, switch, and you do 15 reps on that opposite side. So this is going to challenge that core, guys, and that balance. Also, when you're doing that press, try not to rush through them. If you need to, do them in sets of 5 so that you can still also focus on that back, getting nice activation when you're overhead each time. So just one round of that, guys. Once you're done, we'll see you guys next for the workout movements. For those double unders, if you have them, let's work on those double unders today. If you're at that 30 range, for example, see if you can break them up into sets of 20, or if you want to try seeing if you can do bigger sets today, this is the great day to try and start, or a great workout to start doing that. If you don't have double unders, let's go single skips, or we can go for some running skips here, guys. Also, you can use that previous option from before, which is the double tap hop. So you're gonna keep the feet together, you're gonna jump up, double tap your sides for 60 reps total.
A single arm deadlift, we like to place that item in between the feet. So your deadlift width is going to be about where you squat. You can go a little bit wider if you want to get into that sumo stance. That's totally fine as well. And what I want you guys to think about here is we're going to think about that hip hinge. So I'm going to think about pushing that hip back and then drawing my hips down after that. You can see my shin is still perpendicular to the ground. So the difference if I was squatting is my shin would be going a little bit forward. I actually want to push that hip back a little bit, get my hip up in the air a little bit, and then I'm going to hold on to my object. Pushing with the legs, opening with that hip, we're going to push that hip back, and then lower the object again with those legs. I want you guys to squeeze your butt at the top, make sure the abs are tight. Sometimes when we squeeze our butt, we tend to overarch. Let's make sure we don't do that. Also notice how my head and neck stay nice and neutral. So when I'm at the bottom of that deadlift, I'm not looking straight, I'm not looking down, but I'm kind of looking just maybe a couple feet out in front of me. I want the top of my head to my tailbone to stay in a nice and straight line. If you guys have the mobility and you find it easier or a different type of challenge perhaps, to stick to your normal deadlift position, so feet under that hip, and we're just going to keep that dumbbell or kettlebell outside the stance. It makes it a little bit trickier, but it might be a good challenge for you today to do that as long as you keep that back nice and flat. That's the most important part.
Jumps. So for the strict handstand push-ups, again, you can have that second progression just in case that first progression you just lose your strength, or like halfway through you're not able to do the rep. Always have that second backup in case, just to keep the workout going. So for that, guys, we're going to talk about that dive bomber. So we're going to use that dive bomber as a progression, and then we're going to go into that strict handstand push-up as the next progression above that. So with that dive bomber, guys, you go nice and wide with your feet. Guys, you should use some kind of ab mat or some kind of mat to get your head down to the ground, at least when you make contact with it. Hands are going to be in about push-up width, and they're going to be close to the feet. From here, we're going to think about leaning forward so that we're on those toes and getting over top of those wrists. And then from there, we're going to be dropping the head down right in front of our hands. So notice that my hands are behind my head and they're not in line. So I want them back here. Then I'm going to press my head straight through the window to finish that rep. So that's key, guys, really trying to get our head in front of our hands when we're doing that strict handstand push-up, whether it be with that dive bomber or even if you get your feet on a box and do it elevated. Make sure that head is going in front of the hands so we can really use that back to drive it up and not use the front of the delts and put too much pressure on the shoulder there. So you guys can do those, or you can do your strict handstand push-ups against the wall. Same things apply. Get those elbows in, get that head in front of the hands, stay in a nice tight body position there. From there, guys,
hopefully you guys hit those 5 rounds. Let's cool off now with some mobility. First stretch, go for 2 minutes, and so you're just holding it in the stretch, guys. For this stretch, again, it's the low back that you're trying to emphasize. So you are gonna round your back. You're gonna start by being in the seated position. Bring your heels together. Depending on your flexibility, see if you can get your arms underneath it. But if your flexibility is a little bit tight, you can grab your toes, pull yourself slightly forward. If you start noticing that you're kind of comfortable in this position, slide your arms underneath your shins. Where now you're placing your elbows to the floor, bringing you that much lower. Notice how my back is rounded. To get into this stretch, you want to really just kind of decompress and let everything go. So breathe through it, guys, and just relax your body. Okay, so as you're in this position, you want to be relaxed to let all that tissue in your back just really slowly open it up. If you find that it's hard to breathe, back it off a little bit. Okay, now you're going to create tension. You're not going to really get a good stretch. Okay, so go as low as you're comfortable. If you have better flexibility than me, you really want to get lower and lower and lower, guys, to the floor, where you're almost even tucking your belly button in to get your QL of so the low back muscle. When you're done the 2 minutes there, then you're going to go 2 minutes in the pancake stretch. You don't need a post, but you can use a post if you have something at home, or you can grab a door jam where you kind of reach in to one side. You want to kick out your feet as wide as you can. Play around with your position of your toes. Sometimes I'll stretch it with my toes going forward. Sometimes I'll pull my toes in. They adjust the stretch just slightly different, okay? So first I'm going to start with toes in. I'm going to grab that post. I'm going to pull myself in. This one's going to round your back a little bit as well, but your emphasis is on your groin, so your inner thighs. You're pulling yourself in. If you're not getting much of your inner thighs, maybe bring your toes back or forward, kind of play around with the position of your foot. Or last, like I mentioned, you can point your toes, where when I point my toes, I'm able to get a little bit deeper of a stretch. Okay, so play around with it, emphasize your groin. You're gonna hold that for 2 minutes to cool off today, guys. We'll see you tomorrow for the next workout.